we are at the Ace Hotel, and man, what a great vibe you guys have going here.
Thank you very much. I think
This is going to be fun, I have a feeling.
Yeah, we're a good time over here.
A little bit about you. How'd you get started?
I've been in restaurants since I was about 15 or 16 years old, and sort of trying to find my way, and ended up working as a waiter. And my first day on the job, I had a bartender named Tommy Franks, and he looked at me standing on that side of the bar in like my polo shirt, and he was like, this side.
Yeah, so what are you guys trying to pull off here at the Ace? I mean, every bar kind of has their shtick. They have their niche. They try to work it in a certain way.
Yeah.
Whether it's the cocktail flair,
or like singing bartenders or whatever. Yeah, we.
What are you guys doing?
The idea was to try to find a way to bring in some of the sort of the New York style of service.
Oh, okay.
So we're partnered with the Ace Hotel to sort of bring a little bit of a New York sensibility to a space.
Yeah.
Because it's not necessarily anything that's I don't want to say it's lacking in downtown, it's just a different point of view.
Yeah.
And we come from a different place.
Well, what are we starting with?
So we'll start with the Silver Line Fizz. We'll start with the Zoo Bison Grass Vodka. We mix it with some pomegranate molasses, which has that real tartness, a little bit of lemon juice, some egg white, club soda, and then orange citrate, which they use in old soda fountains. It adds sour without adding bitter.
Right.
So it makes it sort of this very classic soda drink.
This is one of those drinks that kind of catches you by surprise. A really interesting selection on the vodka there.
Yeah, back in Greenpoint in Brooklyn, it's a very traditionally Polish neighborhood. We wanted to sort of pay homage to that. A good friend of mine, Daniel Unhammer, who's the brand ambassador for them, he came to us in our infancy and he was like, Bison Grass Vodka makes sense for you here. And we started playing with it, and it was one of those things that it's just caught on, and it's interesting. It's got this real earthy quality to it.
Yeah.
So you get your sort of standard vodka, but it's a way of introducing sort of a new flavor profile into a drink.
Gorgeous.
But keeping it sort of very accessible.
Yeah, what a great drink. Love this one. All right, so Dan, this one looks a little bit more adventurous to me.
A little bit more. There's a little bit more, let's say, tertiary ingredients going on in here.
All right. Something special.
Yeah, so we call it a Tijuana Bible. So we start with an Espadín mezcal, so very young, a little bit of smoke on it. We add a little pineapple juice, which adds sort of a tartness and sort of a really round, robust sweetness to it.
Right.
We bolster that with some jalapeno-infused falernum, and which adds that sort of a nice little spicy base. And then the final kick is the sherry. It's an Oloroso sherry, Seco. So it's a little bit dry. It has a little bit of funk to it. But yeah, you got a lot going on in there.
Wow. So Dan, that has got a very interesting finish to it. But there's something really familiar about it to me as well, even though I don't drink a lot of mezcal. So what would that be? Someone's catching that as kind of their first time with this cocktail.
Well, the thing about mezcal is, I know people are sort of afraid of it, but I think people are afraid of mezcal in the way that they were afraid of tequila 3 or 4 years ago. There is the similarities in those flavors that sort of that make it sort of vaguely familiar, like you're saying. So what it becomes is we do sort of when you take a classic and we call it Mr. Potato Heading, but you take out an ingredient, you replace it with something else, and you can kind of create something new.
All right, so Dan, obviously now you're going to the staple product, which makes kind of a New York cocktail. So you're trying to kind of bring this back a little bit old school.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of guys around here that are doing really, really great classic cocktails, and we sort of we wanted to jump in with them and make sure that it's clear that we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
So we came up with a Ghostlight, which is our sort of
why the name?
Our house old fashioned. Right behind the hotel, and you can see the marquee directly, if you're looking at the hotel directly to the left, the United Artists Theater, which was founded by Charlie Chaplin, Mary Pickford, Douglas Fairbanks, and D.W. Griffith. In 1919, they built the theater and the hotel the building to house offices in 1927. But there's a giant theater in there, 1,600 seats. It's beautiful. But at night in the theater, you put out a lone lamp in the middle of the stage. It's on a thing with a little bulb on it. It stays lit all night. They call it the Ghostlight. The idea is it's meant to appease the ghosts of the theater, so that the actors who have passed on, their spirits can come and they can perform the plays. So we sort of came up with the idea of the cocktail, and the name sort of evolved into a drink. The idea that we wanted to do this very classic cocktail that had some whispers of some other things. So we took an old fashioned, we kind of pulled it apart, and instead of just a plain sugar syrup, we had a black cardamom spice syrup to it instead. And so it creates this this underlying finish of a little bit of like sort of whispers of smoke that to me that sort of feel like a ghost. We added some cherry bark bitters to it for a little bit of sweetness and Angostura, just to hold true to the old classic. And
gotta love that. And a nice big rock.
And a nice big rock.
So the LA chapter, you guys are really, really setting the stage here for downtown Los Angeles.
I'd say coming out from New York, we're extremely excited about what's happening downtown.
Yeah.
And we're really, really happy to be a part of it, you know. There's a lot of great restaurants, Vestia and Alma's across the street. Like, there's this wonderful movement happening in downtown.
A new vibe.
And it feels really great that we've been sort of really warmly welcomed in the community, and we're happy to be a part of it, and we just like to be here. Yeah.
Good luck to you guys, man. You guys are really dishing up some great cocktails here at the Ace Hotel. Great job.
Cheers. Thank you.